I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to AfterBuzz TV, the home of the official after show for Netflix original series, Sweet Magnolias. So this is the place you're going to want to be after every episode that you watch, because here we have cast and crew who are giving us insights and depths that you can't find anywhere else. So we want you to tune in here. And today we are talking season 1, episode 3, Give Drink to the Thirsty, which definitely sounds like the Serenity way. So joining me today, I'm your host, Jamie Alexander, and I have my incredible panel with me. Tammy, Kelsey, Bryant are in the building. And of course, as promised, we have special guests with us today. So we have Kelli Williams. She's an actress, a producer, but for Sweet Magnolias, she's got on her director's hat. So Kelli Williams is here. Now, you may know him from any number of roles he's had over the years, from Good Behavior to Switched at Birth, even a standout role in Grey's Anatomy. But you know him as Coach Cal from Sweet Magnolias. Please help us welcome Justin Bruening. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Oh, great.
Amazing.
I'm great now.
Yes. Great. We're having our little late night chat, guys. So you're tuned into the exclusive stuff. So here are the topics of what we're going to talk today about the show. One is the life of the party. We know Dana was going through a lot when it came to that. So we'll talk about her and some of the conflicts that she was having. Baby's been benched. I mean, Cal had to come in and get these parents together. And we had to get Noreen a little bit out of the way so we could focus here, right? And last but not least, Cal's glistening new career.
Oh,
If you watch the episode, you know what we're talking about. So let's dive all the way in.
I gotta go.
yeah, you go. That's right.
This is great.
Yes. So
Right.
we would love to dive in. So we're talking the life of the party and everything that was going on with Dana. And she had a lot of conflicts and stuff going on. And actually, Tammy, I know you wanted to speak to some of the conflicts and stuff and share on that.
Yeah. So Kelli, as I was watching the episode, I thought, oh my gosh, as a director, this is going to be fun, because there was a lot of confrontations and a lot of explosions. I mean, when Eric hit Brad,
Ooh.
it was like a little like, and then
that was good.
Annie, Annie and her mom's face, and Brad and Dana Sue's face. And so as a director, and by the way, female director.
Thank you.
What was your experience like?
Well, that's one of the things I liked so much about the episode, was that there was a lot of tension and friction between everybody, and also a lot of the sort of the normal stuff between mother-daughter and just kind of the bumps in the road. Dana Sue trying to figure out her business and trying to keep it afloat, and how that anxiety and tension stays with her for, throughout at least the 2 episodes that I did. And that moment with Eric and Brad was really fun. And just a little tidbit on the day when we actually did the fight, when they banged through that door, the actual door broke, the glass of the door broke. So we only had done, I think, 2 takes before that. And then we heard a crack, and we're like, all right, we got to stop, because we had to make sure that everybody was safe and nobody got cut. But they were really,
Wow.
made a little method there for us. So it was, which I'm glad nobody got cut, but it really made for a good little dynamic moment. So it was, I love conflict in that way, because that's sort of part of storytelling, and we learn from it. And certainly the ladies get together and over their margaritas and talk about it and give each other support, and also call each other out on things that aren't working, so it's that thing that you want from your people that are in your life that support you. But it was
Absolutely.
it was a fun episode.
I actually got to watch it too, so it was great. Well, I only know my parts. So I was like, there's a whole nother show out there. It's like I'm watching it for the first time. It's great. And I got to see that part, and I really enjoyed definitely the Brad and Dana Sue confrontation, and it had the right mix of danger and, you know, while still keeping it not to the part of a serial killer, but still it was great. It was and Brad totally deserved to get punched in the face. That's just my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna say, you know what I like, Kelli, and Justin, you kind of said this too. It's like it doesn't get too dramatic, and kind of it's like confrontational, but it moves on. Like the conflict still moves throughout the episode. So you did that so well, I think. It's like we're not sitting on that. It happens, it's life, but we still keep moving with the story. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I also thought it was interesting too that it kind of came out of nowhere for me. Like you just see Dana Sue getting served, and then out of nowhere you see a punch, like a right hook. I'm like, oh, okay, that all just transpired in like 2 minutes. So it definitely caught me by surprise, but I love seeing it. I totally agree with Justin. He deserved to be punched by Dana since last episode. So now I'm happy to know what was coming to him.
Yes, that's true. And you know, a little, I don't know if you like these little stories, but they're always fun to tell. But so Dion, who plays Eric, and I did a series together when I was acting. So we played partners. We were both police officers for a show that we did a couple of years ago. And it was so much fun to then be in a different position where I'm actually there working with him as an actor. And it was also Cheryl Anderson's show as well. So it was sort of this great, the first time we connected. So it was just so awesome to be on the other side of the camera and have Dion there. And then we're talking, you know, we did that together anyway as actors. We really talked about story and kind of built these characters together. And we spent a lot of time together. So when I found out that he was doing it, I was like, yes, I was so excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. So, I mean, you know, when it came to Dana Sue, while we're talking about conflict, she had a lot of conflict in this episode, you know, with her, of course, with Brad, which we talked about, but also with her daughter. And even noticing, you know, with you being the director and really being kind of in charge of making sure that the producer's vision is getting out there. For me, when I was watching, the way you guys were able to portray Dana, like when she came into the house and her daughter was studying, and, you know, you kind of have these little creep moments where you can just see her in the forefront, and then the background, you see the mom, and it gives it a little bit of an ominous feel, which kind of was reflective of what Annie was feeling, like, oh, here she comes, like, let me go to bed, because, so was that part of the plan to really kind of give Annie this kind of authoritarian, what she says, feel throughout this episode to really drive that home?
Well, I have 3 kids, and I have a teenage daughter who's my middle child, and she's now 19. I have them all home now, of course, during this time.
So fun.
Yeah. And I remember those moments too, where, you know, I love her with all of my heart, and she loves me, but there are those, you know, moments, that kind of dynamic between mother-daughters and, you know, fathers and sons, fathers and, mixing it all up. But it's like, particularly that relationship between Dana Sue and Annalise Judge, this was her first job, by the way, which is amazing.
Oh my God.
Ever? Oh my gosh.
Ever.
Wow.
Was so great to play with all that subtext and play with all the dynamics between, like, you can just give your mom a look and then she knows exactly what you mean, you know, or mom can give her a look and it's like, what did you just do? And I personally love playing subtext. To me is sometimes more important than text, even though, of course, Cheryl Anderson's scripts are fantastic and they're full of great text. But I like to just kind of marry it with all that underbelly of how we feel. And even when we love our kids, they drive us crazy and we drive them crazy. And I like having that all as, you know, at play.
Yeah. The subtext you're talking about, what I also noticed was I noticed a lot of like pushing from Dana Sue's part. And I think, like, just from personal experience, like when you push a child too hard, like you're not going to get the result you want, you know? So I actually know it from like an opposite perspective, where I had family, like parents who were just like, okay, I've got it, like keep going. Like when you push too hard, you don't get what the result you want. So I like seeing how it's kind of blowing up in Dana Sue's face. She's like pushing her so hard, and Annie is just being so on the defense. So I love seeing that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is just her own stress about her business and how it manifests, how so often we project that stuff that we don't think that we are, and yet we somehow are putting it on our kids sometimes.
Absolutely.
I never do that to my kids ever.
Yeah, right. Right.
That's like a daily occurrence for me. It's fine.
Yeah.
There is
sorry, it's not you.
Yeah.
Projection's real, especially during all this craziness.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of takes me to our second topic here, where baby's been benched. Cal, this is where you had to step in and say, you know what? I need both parents together. Because you got confronted by Bill, and he was like, why you got my kid over here doing yoga when he should be pitching? So he kind of came for you a little bit. How were you feeling in that moment as the character, and how did you come to resolve on that?
As me, I felt horrible. I just kicked a pregnant woman out of a baseball game. I was like, oh, that's cool. But it was fun playing with my assistant coach there, and having, you know, like you were talking about subtext, and we had to have this unspoken moment where, all right, you go kick him out or kick her out, you know, or whatever, and I'm gonna go deal with. I should say, wait, is this the one? I do this twice, I feel like. Don't I do this twice?
You do. You do.
Yeah. Wait, is this the first one or the second time I do it?
So let's talk about the first time. Like, and actually I'll have the panel weigh in on this too. Like, maybe Kelsey, you tell me what you think, but I was cracking up and I thought it was such an opportunity, because when Bill was approaching Cal the first time, I thought he was going to get a little crazy, because the last episode, you gave him a look that told him it was time to change things.
You get where I'm coming from. It's like it's the problem over here. The cheering with the with the t-shirts, like, you got to stop it, because you're riding your son. And that was the big problem was, you know, Chris Klein's character of Dr. Townsend is riding his kid hard, and I come from a small town in Nebraska, and you live and breathe sports. So that they push their kids to play and do it to the very best of their ability, which you should do anything like that. But it's a whole different level with sports. It's like there's a pride, there's everything. And so he pushes his son to, you know, excel at something that he already excels at, except he's also kind of naive in the sense that he has caused his son's own, like, handicapped, basically, when he plays. And so it's sort of it was a fun way of playing, like, Cal he's a great guy. He's the nicest guy ever. And this is kind of one of the first moments where he has to do something that's not so nice. And I felt like, how do you accomplish that in a way that's just, it was a look, which was good. It was like, but it accomplished that in a way like, dude, you feel me, right? Like, she's annoying. You need to get rid of her. Like, you got to get her gone.
You got to get her
like,
out.
I'll dude, we're cool. We had a talk. It's great. I'll not have him play yoga anymore. It's fine. We'll just have her leave or be quiet or something. Yoga. If you want your, play like yoga. I don't even know how to do yoga. Everything's a sport to me. But you know, it's definitely, you know, it was that moment of just tenderly and gently telling a pregnant mother to leave the place because your entire being is ruining our baseball game. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard thing to swallow. And I was like, I was like, oh, good. At least I don't have to just tell her to get out. It's better to make him do it. So.
Yeah. No, we love that so much, because that speaks to the character of the character. And we love that about Cal. He's strong, he's smart, he's tall, he's athletic. He does what he needs to do, but he's not rude about it. So when, you know, he is approaching these parents that are already in a volatile situation. And Kelsey, what was your take on that when Cal introduced the idea of a parent-teacher conference with all three? Because this is the second time he's asked.
Mm-hmm. You know,
they annoy me.
Yeah, right? And I love these scenes, and Justin, how you acted, and Kelly, how you directed it, because they're so incredibly uncomfortable. Like, they're, as a viewer watching this, your skin is just crawling, and you feel for all of them in this situation. And I love how Cal tackles this, and he's just like, you know what? I know that Maddie didn't want this, and I know that Tyler didn't want this, but this needs to happen for the sake of me and my team here and what I have to deal with. So I was like, get it, Cal. I loved it.
That's awesome.
I was rooting for him.
Well, one of the nice things about Cal too is he gives a lot of advice on this show. Like I tease Ty a lot, and I always tell him that you know, I'm like Obi-Wan Kenobi on this show. You're Luke Skywalker. I've been through this. Please don't do the same things I did. Just be me, but better. And one of like talking from, you know, my character has a whole past that we just touch on a little bit at this point, and a lot of it comes from his experience. So when he confronts these parents, he already knows this is not good. Like we have to deal with this because this is what's affecting Ty, and it's frankly it's you guys. Like, sorry to be blunt, but it's like it's you. We gotta figure this out because you two are causing him to fail, and you want him to succeed more than anyone. So until though you come into the dynamic and you kind of mess it up. Well, I'm just saying that's a whole other ball of wax. We're just gonna distend belief on that one because I give all this advice. That's the one thing I was like, so wait a minute, I give all this advice and then I'm like, hey, you're cute. I know this is gonna cause more problems, but we should date.
But you did it with such grace, especially with, you know what? I think you guys need to go to the game separately. You go one night, you go your night, and
clever.
You
City agreement.
And that was really bold but strategic. So we think that you gracefully, you know, made your way in. But Tammy, how did you feel about that decision? What were you thinking in that moment when he suggested split games? Because I know I was nervous.
I was like, Cal, are you out of your mind? Because seriously, because I knew what Bill's reaction was going to be. You know, I knew Maddie would do the right thing, but I knew Bill was going to push back really hard. So it was just one of those moments of, all right, let's do this as a viewer. And then I think that was also the mentality of all the characters. It's like, fine.
Yeah. And I definitely think Cal knew that as well, that Bill was going to react that way. It's like, look, this is going to hurt. This is going to be painful, especially for you. She's going to be fine. But like you, and that's like, I know when doing that scene with Kelli at the beginning when Bill confronts me and we have that, there's this one moment, I love it, where it just shows Bill's true character where he's like, well, why are we including Maddie? She doesn't know anything about baseball. And it's Cal's wise enough to say, but she knows about Ty.
That was good.
Like it's not about baseball. You're not getting this. Like, okay, this I could see why you guys are getting divorced. That's fine. It's all good. There's a couple weird moments when I have scenes with Chris, with Bill, and I'm like, sweet, we're good because I'm gonna go make out with your wife now. Good job, buddy.
Perfect.
I love it. So Kelli, in these conflicts, was there anything special that you did to oversee, you know, the way this was shot so that we understood that Kel was strong and stern, but also very kind and strategic about the way he did things? Because I feel like the way that it was shot, even on the field and in the teacher's classroom, it was very, it was playful, but it was serious.
Yeah, I mean, in the classroom in particular, it was important for me to have them have Maddie and Bill in sitting down like students. I needed them to be lower than Cal. I needed Cal
that too.
Yeah, I needed to have that dynamic be and have a little bit of vulnerability, particularly for Bill. And that was fun. So there's a little, and it's not, there's a little playfulness because it's like, we don't want to take it too seriously. We've kind of all been in that situation, particularly if you're in you're no longer with your partner. And then all of a sudden you're having to be in situations that don't feel comfortable and particularly sharing a child. And then also Bill's how Bill ended things and his behavior in it. I don't want to vilify Bill necessarily, but there's certain behavioral things that happened that put Maddie in this position of having to change her life so dramatically. And then also Cal shows up and then there he is and she's trying to fight against the fact that she has, little googly eyes for him and, but it was fun to play that. It's always fun for me to have the characters and camera be kind of they're sort of, they work with each other, so it's like I don't like to move a camera without reason, and I like to set up shots to create a mood, and it kind of helps with whatever the dynamic that's there. That's at least my intention. I may not always succeed, but that's my intention at least.
Well, I was gonna compliment Kelli because it was great working with her, because every single like movement, everything's well thought out. Like every single movement, where our positions are, how our direction is. There's a purpose and a motive behind it, and I thought it was flawless.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's also fun having been an actor for 30 years that then, now in the last 5 years that I've turned to directing, is that, I mean, it's in my bones, it's like, it's just, since I was 18, I've been doing this in some way. So being with actors is one of my favorite things. And the thing is, I know what they're doing. I know what they're trying to get away with or not get away with. And I can be like, don't do that.
Yep.
Stop it.
Stop it. I know that trick.
That's funny.
Yeah,
what were some of the things Justin was trying to get away with? Let's put him on blast just a little bit.
Oh, no, he was perfect. He was totally perfect. I mean, the thing about also with Cal is that because Justin is inherently a good person, like, you meet him, he's strong, he's got a great presence about him, yes, good looking, but that's so many other things about you that are great. That when he walks into a scene, he's just there. So it's almost like that other subtext, that other stuff that's playing, or the discomfort with dealing with Bill, it's almost like, there's really not a lot of acting required. So if there's just he understands the story, relationship, then it's all there. To me, I don't think we have to do so much always, get all schmackty. You don't have to do that. You just need to be in, where you were, and he did it beautifully. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm all schmackty before she says action.
Before he gets the schmackty out.
And then I leave it all behind.
Start working.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, we got to do this. Then I realize I don't know what I'm doing, and I just go out there and do something.
But that's good. That's when you're doing good stuff.
Exactly. I leave all that. I leave everything at the, it's kind of, and it's funny. It's kind of how Cal coaches. I think I say it a lot of times. I come out there and I'm like, you need to relax. You need to just focus where you want the ball to go and let it roll off your fingers. And it's very simple. Like that's what I like about Cal. He simplifies everything and makes this hectic life in serenity. He tries to simplify everyone's problems and go, look, this is the problem. This is the other problem. Let's just get rid of this one. And you guys split up the games and we're good, right? You guys work out the rest of it. I just that's all I have for you.
And let me add myself to the equation and make it messier, but it's fine.
Go for it. No. That's just, I'm thinking with different parts of my anatomy. It's fine.
Right.
Cal's anatomy.
It's funny because I actually got a little bit of the opposite, because we know Cal's anatomy, but like you said, Kelli, like it's
Jamie.
Are we talking about his Phoebe Cates moment?
I was just repeating what I heard. I'm just a moderator. No, but it's amazing because I'm seeing, now that we're getting to talk with you guys, I'm seeing how this all makes sense. And even Kelli, with you saying how good of a person Justin is, you get that from Cal. Cal is not like this, even though the title of the episode is Give Drink to the Thirsty. He doesn't have this thirsty like energy that can be kind of a turnoff. He's still very cool and inviting. He's very suggestive. He makes a lot of suggestions, and if you want to take the bait, then you're able to do that. And that's what I love about his character, especially as a woman. It's not like terrible to watch, like, this guy is just trying to insert himself.
Yeah, that was actually a thing I was trying not to do. So there was a few times where we had, like an earlier draft, and I would kind of be like, I feel like didn't you just get divorced like 10 minutes ago?
Not even.
Like, I think I need to give her like some breathing room. Like, I don't even
but
know
then
if
it's
she's ready
TV time. TV time is different. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I've had a few conversations where like, is this appropriate? Because the majority of my cast is women. My showrunner's a woman. My director was a woman for this episode, and I would be like, okay, consensus. Is this appropriate? Are we okay with this? Because it's fine. If you guys are fine with it, I'm fine. That's great.
I'm fine.
Yeah. I just cleared it with all my bosses.
Can we talk about that, having conversations, Kelli and Justin? Kelli, as a director, are you that kind of director where you'll take an actor aside and talk through the scene and have the conversations about where you want to take it? And Justin, are you the kind of actor that likes to talk things through? Or do you just like to show up and
and do it?
Who wants to go first?
You go first.
I'm a little bit of both. Like I just like to like I had an acting teacher a long time ago, and she had like the old Nike sign on her above her desk, and it was just do it. Just get out there and do it. Like whatever. If you fail, you fail, but you don't know if you're like, sometimes it's a beautiful mess. You don't know that you think it's awful, but it was just glorious to other people. So sometimes I like to get out there and do it, but at the same time, I love notes. I love to collaborate because I feel like I'm only one piece of the puzzle to tell this story, and we're all trying to get to the exact same conclusion. We're trying to make the best story possible to entertain people at home. And from set deck to sound to everyone, and our directors were glorious. They're all trying to help bring their pieces as well. And if we all work together, we end up with a great show. So I am all for a note. I'm all for some guidance. Sometimes I feel completely lost, so I'm good with a note. And I like to talk it through, and I like to get on the same page with everyone. And it's kind of like a little pre-game pep talk where you put all your hands in the middle and you're like, and go. And then we do it. And then you can do it in like 2 takes instead of like 26.
We didn't have time
Speed
for
up the day.
26. No time.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I agree. I mean, I'm a big since my background is from acting. I collaboration is the way it goes for me. Like collaboration with the DP, with all departments, and then particularly with the actors. I kind of like doing a little bit of a pre-talk and a rehearsal to just see what everyone feels. If there's issues, we've put our notes in. We figured it out. We arrive on set obviously prepared and ready to just sort of play with it. But if you don't feel right, if the actors don't feel right, then you're not going to get the performance that you want. But I kind of every actor is different. Like everybody has such a different process. So I want to respect everybody's process. And if you're a talker, I'm happy to talk. If you want to just try and go and do it and we'll give notes afterwards, great. I mean, there's very many different personalities. So I kind of have to, I've always sort of equated it with being part, like, kind of a mom, but also kind of a therapist, and kind of like, you can there are many hats, I think, to directors, and I'm still learning. I think I'm still pretty on the new side of being a director. So I learn from every job that I do. But I just and the thing is, in the morning when you go, you have an idea and you have a page of, of shot lists of things that you need to get, but I have no idea how it's going to go. It's that thing of like, you just kind of have to just go, whoop, here we go. Like, let's hope that we got to make our day, but we're going to, and it's that thing of needing to let the actors feel like they have nothing but time, but I know we do not have time, like, so you know what I mean? You're like, okay. And you're trying to like, I'm trying to have my resting face be relaxed and totally, everything's great. But there's only, I think a couple of times, Justin, I was like, okay, let's walk to our mark. Let's just walk, because we were talking. Let's walking and talking.
Totally.
This is like,
totally. It's like, yeah, come with me. And I was like, oh, you want,
let's go this way. And all of a sudden we're like, great, action.
So not subtle.
Not a bit.
No, it was awesome. Well, and then then there's always such unseen, factors that external. Like in Georgia, a rainstorm comes out of nowhere, and then we have a lot of baseball stuff. So all of a sudden, you're like looking at storm clouds coming, and you're like, this isn't gonna work. It doesn't match from 10 minutes ago. Like the light changed, everything. So there was always, we had some pretty adventurous days that we thought we would get done.
And then we also, there were days where if there was lightning, we had to shut down for, I think it was 15 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, but it was cumulative. So if there was another lightning strike far away, within like I don't remember the distance. Do you remember, like within 10 miles?
Yeah, something like that.
Crazy. So we would literally be almost done, and then all of a sudden there'd be lightning, and then we'd shut everything down. And then you'd wait, move everything to safety, and then you'd wait, and then literally a minute before we could go again, there'd be another lightning strike, and we're like,
oh my gosh, that's so frustrating.
Yeah. Oh my God. Talk about the unforeseen things. I don't know if I'm tripping, but I low-key just feel like I felt a little earthquake. I might be tripping, maybe not. We'll check Twitter when we're done. Since we're talking about the elements, I was like, whoa. But one thing when we were talking with Norman Buckley and Cheryl Anderson, and what we can appreciate about your production is you guys did leave room for the divine, for the unknown, and you guys seem to work really well together with that. And it seems very necessary, with, like you said, with the weather and just being unsure about how things are going to go or timing wise. It seems like as a cast, you guys worked very cohesively to make sure that everybody felt comfortable, you got the job done, but also there were going to be some unknown factors thrown in there.
For sure. And it was great. I mean, Cheryl and Norman were really fantastic, like, bosses and collaborators and, you know, coworkers. I mean, they really created an environment that was just really fun. You know what I mean? And everybody just kind of got together, and Joanna and Brooke and Heather were just, everybody got along and really wanted to be there. So that's always nice when everybody really wants to be there together.
Yes, absolutely. Now, before we move on to our third topic, where we talk about Cal's glistening new career,
I'm ready for that.
Ready. I wanted to touch on Noreen really quick, because I noticed a lot, again, when it came to filming her. Obviously, she's in a position where most people would be like, ugh, this girl is this and that. But you guys were able to catch a sweet side to her. Even that moment she had with Bill, whether they were fighting or making up in the morning over breakfast, it was still very evident that there was a sweetness and a genuineness behind her efforts. So was that something that you guys all discussed to really make sure you captured that in a certain way?
Yes, it was really important for all of us, for her to not just be vilified. I mean, the same thing, which I think for Bill and Noreen both, they were kind of in a tricky position with the characters that they were playing, to not just sort of be one kind of stereotype of something, of this, like, you know, that he's had an affair with her and all of a sudden this is happening. And I felt like it was fun to work with Chris and Jamie Lynn to just figure out just their humanness, like their vulnerabilities, hers in particular, because there she is expecting, and her whole life has been kind of turned upside down, and the town, in the way that the small town talks, she doesn't feel very, you know, supported. And it's just, they have the two of them. All of a sudden, Bill's been thrown from the environment he was used to, and he's in this apartment. And that was one of the things about the location that was very important to us, was that it looked like something very different from what he had before. So I think that it was because not only do they want to be together, but then they're also together in a way that's so different from the world that he had been in. And that obviously raises a lot of questions of, like, what have I done? So it was fun to find that. It was, you know, I just wanted to have their humanity be real, you know, to be like, she's in a position of trying to be a stepmom, and she doesn't know how to be a stepmom to these kids. She's not even ready to be a mom, you know, mom yet, with, you know, having her own baby. So she did a really lovely job. So with that, a lot of subtle layering that she had to do in there, which was nice.
I would echo that. Like, you know, with Noreen, what I noticed in episode 2 was that she was trying, and it was sweet, and in the same way in this episode as well, but I felt like she was broaching that line of a stepmother where it's sometimes come across as trying too hard. And, you know, when she was saying the whole thing, like, that's our son, like, I'm sure, like, if I heard that, I would have just been thrown for a loop, you know? So that was definitely the dynamic. She was, like you mentioned, she was walking that thin line of, like, am I trying too hard? Am I trying hard enough? What are people saying about me? So it was definitely interesting to see that. And I also love the sweet moments she had with Kyle as well. They always have such sweet moments, and when, like, the whole, like, talking about girls, love that. It showed an extra layer to her, that she is trying, and she's at least she's connecting with somebody.
And even really right before that, when you had her sitting by herself giving, like, the pep talk to her own baby, and then Kyle comes up, it's just like, it's adding these, like you're saying, Brent, these layers to her, and developing her as a character. And you don't hate her at all. You feel for her.
Yeah, she feels sort of lost. And I mean, and we all know that, like, you know, it's in relationships, it's like, you know, they're hard, and there's not just one clear villain or enemy in it, that there's, you know, it's a two-way street, and it's a lot of the dynamics that have grown over time. And so I didn't want her to feel like she was just sort of this, like, homewrecker type of a vibe. You know, I wanted it to feel like more complicated than that. So it was, and that was that scene in the park was really, that was a nice scene. I like that for them.
That was really good, because what you guys also added in there was that scene in the paint store with Maddie. Tammy, what was your take on that? What did you feel when she walked in? Like, what did you think was going to happen between Maddie and Noreen?
I felt like that little guy who was working in the store and felt he needed to alphabetize the hammer.
That was awesome.
That guy was great.
I'm gonna go alphabetize the doorknobs. Hammers. So the hammers is hammers. I'm gonna go alphabetize the hammers.
Yeah.
Great. That was awesome.
It was awkward, but I appreciated that moment, because they do live in a small town and they can't ignore each other. And Maddie, I'm not going to say she needs to get over it, but she needs to manage when these encounters happen, because they will.
Right.
And people will be watching when these encounters are going down. And I thought she handled it so well. And I felt bad that Noreen kind of scurried out of the store like that. I felt bad for her. And going back to Jamie Lynn, her performances have been a lovely surprise. Just the nuances that she's brought to Noreen, because it's so easy to stereotype as a viewer, and she hasn't allowed that. And as a director, and and the showrunners and the people that have surrounded the character of Noreen, it's like, you know what? She is multifaceted. She's not this villain. She's not black and white, and that's what makes it so interesting to watch.
Yeah. Like you said, Tammy, too, with the paint shop, I was scared that Maddie was just going to scalp her right there. But so I was happy that it didn't go in that direction.
Oh my gosh, we've been so crazy. We're talking about scalping, people cutting people. We've just gotten so far from Serenity.
Yeah, you don't want to come to Serenity. It's a dangerous place.
Yes. Well, talking about dangerous, Cal.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Cal's glistening new career. I love the way Helen said, she said, you did a whole Magic Mike routine in the middle of the street.
And so-and-so told so-and-so told so-and-so.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
Fast.
That was very funny. Mary Vaughn.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of, on the day, it felt like, his Phoebe Cates moment in Valley Girl. It was sort of
absolutely
a sprinkler happening.
Yeah.
I totally dated myself.
I totally forgot that.
I just dated myself big time.
No, that's brilliant. That's so
Yes,
because it was kind
amazing.
of that slow motion.
Yeah. And I played with it when I edited it. It was I had a version that was a little hammier, I would say, a little more like, a little more tongue in cheek, and we kind of took that out and we brought it back. But I had to go there. I had to
send me that edit.
Really? I had to try it, and then we had to pull it back. We pulled it back and made it, not too. So
I thought that's what I was doing. I didn't.
It's tasteful.
It was awesome. I was like, I needed a proper like a really good '80s song right then.
Did you have one in your head? Did you have one going?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. I did.
Yeah, you had to.
What
I don't
song?
remember what it was, but I
Come
don't remember. I had a lot of them.
So let's back it up and talk about that. And let's say, Bryant, I'd love your feedback, but what did you think was going to happen? First of all, did you think Maddie was going to pick up the phone and call Cal at all? And when she did, what did you think? What did you feel about what was going to happen when she came over and asked him to fix her plumbing?
Wow. I loved it. And I liked how I was surprised by it. Like, I felt like it gave another layer to him, because it's like, why would she call him out of nowhere? Like they just have this subtle relationship so far. But it's also a testament to the fact that she doesn't have anyone else to call, because she mentioned the plumbers all are busy working on the spa. So she doesn't have anyone else to call. She can't call her ex-husband. She can't call anybody else in the town. So the fact that she reached out to him, it obviously worked out for her and all of us in the best way possible. So
yes, absolutely. So Justin, as Cal, what did you think in that moment? How did you make that work? And I guess as the character, were you surprised that she called? What did you do to prepare to walk in there and help her out with what she needed help with?
I think the things that you pointed out, though, like she had no one else. She could have called Bill. And so Cal's not an idiot. She could have called Bill, but she didn't. She called me. So right there is a sign of like, you could have called, you could have tried anybody else. I don't know that there's no other plumbers around. I don't know these things, but you called me, and it's like, and I think that's, that was when we had talked about Cal's journey with Maddie, I wanted to be I don't know if it's the right word, but very gentle with it, you know, because if he's too forceful, it comes across like it's just yuck. If he's too,
Creepy.
you know, if he's not, creepy. If he's like a stalker. if he doesn't do it enough, he's weak. So there was this fine line to play where once the pieces started to come together for the character, for myself, okay, I think she might be interested, because he's like throwing little nuggets out there of like, you know, like we should work out together, stuff like that, and she doesn't bite. You know, she's kind of like gets all flustered and freaks out and runs away. It's cute, but it's like it's adorable, and it's but he's you know, it really clicks the day that the character of Harlan says to him, "Oh, you're an idiot. Like they're going through a divorce." And I'm like, I don't know how I missed that. And from that moment on, it's kind of like, okay, so she's available. She's, you know, I'll be nice. I'll still just, you know, there's a spark there, but I'll just be respectful. And when she calls him, I think that's a moment where he's like, well, wait a minute. You could have called anybody else. Sure, there's no plumbers, whatever. In his mind, he's just like, look, you couldn't have called anybody else. It's got to be me. I got this. You can do this. And you know, when he showed up, I think it was an innocent flirtation at first. You know, when I think he truly goes there to fix her sink, but there's also in the back of his mind, he's like, well, I mean, you called me, so where's this? Where's this going?
Well, there's also clear chemistry between the two of you. I mean, it's so, I mean, that's one of the things too with how I wanted to shoot the scene, is that I wanted to build on the playfulness of what was happening, and the way that the sink was thing, and then all of a sudden you're down there trying to fix the sink, and she's there, and then you're so close together, and it felt very I mean, almost innocence the wrong word, but it almost felt like a very sort of young love, in the sense of just like, I'm near you, and I like being near you, and I didn't think I would. I really like, it's that thing that feels so great. So it was like
Twitter pated. That's from Bambi.
Twitter pated. Oh.
I only say that because I just watched that movie, but so I was like, oh, that's totally what I do. I'm Twitter pated, because I think that Cal normally, and I talked about this with Cheryl, and I said Anderson, and I said, you know, I feel like Cal normally is very probably very forward and very, very confident and very put together, but for some reason she throws him off. You know, she's not like any girl he's come into. And I think that's awesome. And she's different, and she's not like anybody he's ever been with. And we'll touch on that a little bit later on in the season. But it's definitely, you know, it's definitely, she's different, and it intrigues him. And it's like, and it's exactly what Kelli said. It's not innocent, but there is a chemistry that's there, and they both feel it. And it's Cal who's basically like, look, this is stupid. We both know it's there. We're adults. It's not like we're, to use the words, it's not like we're teenagers. I mean, we're acting like it, but let's drop all that. And
and then that's what's interesting too, is you're trying to be good about it. You're trying not to get involved, which I think for the sake of the kids. And of course, then in that moment that Ty walks in, and then it's like, oh no, and oh my God. And then it's a complete fail in that department. But yet those feelings were there, that happened. You can't help it. And then
I would joke on I would joke on set, because I have the line in that moment where she invites me to stay for dinner, and she's like, it's nothing fancy, and I'm like, you know, basically I say, oh, I love simple. And you know, in between scenes, because right at the end of that, Ty walks in, and I'm literally like, okay, go, you know, I'm gonna take a rain check, I gotta go. Like, I'm gonna leave. You didn't hear my speech about how I like simple. This is way too no, this way, I'm out. I'm gonna go to my truck and strip tease. It's way easier.
Yeah. For all the neighborhood to enjoy. No, but that's a good point. I love how you brought that up, the contrast, because I actually didn't catch that. How you're like, you know, I like simple, and then you hear the record scratch and the teenager comes in. Kelsey, what were you feeling in that moment when Ty came in? Did you think he was going to go ham, or how were you expecting that to play out?
Poor Ty. I kind of expected exactly what happened. It was like the look to mom. I mean, Kelli, you talked about it earlier, the looks that parents and kids can share, you know, where it's like, you don't even have to say anything, just like the subtle, really?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, yep, okay, got it. And Cal took the hint and he like beelined it out of there. So I didn't think that tie would explode. I just think that I don't think that he is really the explosion type. So I think what he did, I expected. Maddie got the hint, and it was uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say something very like tongue in cheek. Like I would imagine that he would be happy that they're hooking up because he's gonna get all the play time. He's gonna be starting every game.
That's true. That's 100% true. But unfortunately, he went and ruined it. So now he's on the bench.
Now it's
forever.
Gosh, I love that. And I love how we were able to touch on, the way you shot that, the little nosy neighbor moment and the genuineness of Cal just needing to change clothes. He was soaked with this under the sink water. And then you got the sprinkler going, the red truck. I mean, it was really a whole moment.
Yeah, I had to. You could never drive home with a wet shirt.
Never. I mean, okay, you took one. I gotta say, you ended up taking one for the ladies who have had to do scenes like that for centuries.
Totally. No, totally
we're always the one like, oh, this blouse or something like, So thank you. And now you know how we feel.
That was completely the joke on set. They were like, we don't have anybody else to objectify. I mean, I guess it's you.
I know. I'm like, and I kept apologizing. I was like, I'm so sorry. But
I know. I was like,
I
know. I was like, Kelly, this isn't the first time I've done this. It's fine. My wife went on the internet the other night and she was like, you are literally naked all the time. Like always. Like you wear clothes on anything you do. And I'm like, it's not me. They fall off.
God. It's in the script.
Yeah, it's in the script.
Yeah.
I had to fix a TV with my shirt. I don't know how that's possible, but I had to.
You're like, honey, I'm booking gigs though. Come on.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, suck it up. She knows that's how she met me.
Oh my God.
Exactly. So were there parts of your, actual life, Justin, that you take into Cal and kind of sprinkle around, especially because you've been a fashion model, you've been on a soap opera, you've been acting for a while. So are there parts of your own self that you take into this character?
Oh, 100%. I think most actors bring a piece of themselves to whatever character they play. And with Cal, it was interesting. I read the book. Yeah, I did. It's a romance novel. Not my first. Now, it wouldn't be like my first choice to pick up, in the airport to hop on a plane, but I did. And because I was like, I remember when they offered it to me, I'm like, I have like 3 lines in the first episode. I don't know anything about this guy. So I read the book, and the first thing that jumped out was how much alike Cal and I were. Personality. It was almost creepy to where I could predict his every move, where I would be like, and this is what he's going to do next. That's awesome. And it was not like he's predictable, but it was like that wishful thinking, because I am a hopeless romantic. And so that's what Cal pretty much is. And it would be and if this happens, it'd be so awesome. And it would happen. And I would be like, see, good. You stepped up. You didn't shy away. And I've always played characters before that they're not confrontational in a relationship. Like usually the guy's just like, oh no, I don't want to commit. And I just, that's too fast or too, and he's the opposite, where he's full force in this relationship. He's like, look, if we're going to do this, let's do it. Yeah. Because I think you feel something. I know I feel something. Why not? Like life's too short. Like let's see what happens. And it was refreshing to play someone with such confidence and drive. And not saying it, not taking no for an answer.
Yes, so good. No, we love that. You guys have just done a great job with putting all of this together. And I want to make sure that my panelists, did we miss any questions or anything that we wanted to ask that we didn't, that we might have skimmed past while we have these amazing people here with us?
The character of Harlan, Justin, you brought him up.
Oh, yes.
So that was really the first time we'd seen him. So he's the one that interviewed for that job, right? He's
right.
What is he? A masseuse?
Personal trainer, I think.
Personal trainer to dogs. Yeah. I'm not
to dogs. Yeah.
That's Trotter.
That's Trotter.
Harlan's my assistant.
He's my assistant coach.
Yeah.
He's played by.
No. So who was the guy in the bar with you?
Trotter.
That is Trotter.
That's
Yes,
Trotter. Yeah, that's Trotter.
Trotter.
That's Trotter.
He's really cool. I really like him.
Oh, I love Hunter.
Yeah, he was great.
Hunter's fun.
He's really fun. And that bar scene was really fun. That
bar
was really
scene.
fun to do.
I like that one.
I know. There was a lot of moments where Kelly was like, "Are you guys done?" Like,
I wasn't sure. There were times where there was conversation that just kept going.
I know she kind of would look at us and I'd be like, "Are we gonna yell cut?" She's like, "I'm just waiting for you."
That was
the lines ended.
Yeah, that was a particularly difficult day. Not you didn't make it difficult. It was just one of those. It was a planning. It was an impossible day to get that I was still I needed to get. So, but you guys were fantastic because when you guys got to the bar and we were you guys just were. Things were just firing on all cylinders. Like you're just the way you guys talk, the rat-a-tat-tat that way. It was really nice. Yeah. Your friendship was apparent.
Yeah, we became and Hunter and myself became friends very fast.
That's great.
In that moment.
You could feel it, and it was. I really appreciated it that night too because it was. It was a big long night. And the fact that you guys had that camaraderie and that kind of casualness with each other, and he was still giving you a hard time with your feelings.
Yeah.
Gets you.
Keeps me in check. He's like my
feelings.
Yeah, he's like my therapist. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I loved that scene. It was great.
It was a good scene.
He is awesome. He's a lot of fun.
Thanks for bringing him up. It's a great Hunter was really doing a wonderful
Hunter's
job.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I like when
Hunter.
he finds out it's Maddie. His little snarky remark.
That's how Tyler should have reacted.
Well, it was like one of those. It was like one of those Dear Abby columns, which was funny because my mom used to have those. But anyway, where he's like, so I saw the mom today. I've been referred to her by name, so it's kind of fun to I've been skirting around it because and it's the thing, I already know what he's gonna say, and I just kind of don't want to hear it. But he is a blast, and he's a welcome addition because when you read the novels, as Cheryl Anderson's daughter Sarah loves romance novels. I mean, has read them all. She's been my treasure trove of information because I'm I didn't read all 12 books. I read one. My characters throughout all of them. So I was like, you need to fill me in. I don't know what happens next. And I said, I asked, it was is Trotter an actual character? I was like, I don't remember Trotter in the book. And she said, does he come up later? And she said, no, it's a romance novel. They don't care about you. You have no friends.
My gosh.
That's just me.
What? I didn't know that about romance novels.
Well, she said it's more the focus is on the women, as it should be. And I see. It's Maddie's story, and it's Dana Sue's story, and it's Heather's story, and each book is separated into their characters' perspectives. And so the focus isn't on my character, and as it shouldn't be anyway, but it was nice they gave me a friend. It was wonderful because they get their girl time and have margarita nights. I get to talk to no one.
And I have to say, can I call back to that time when Heather walks in and she's talking to Skeeter and she looks up and there's a hole in the wall in the ceiling?
Oh gosh,
that moment was so. Heather made me laugh so hard. And the thing is too that we had to create the hole in the ceiling, so I actually haven't seen it completely posted with all the effects on it. But it was such an interesting thing to shoot, getting the camera way up there. So that we can create that it was really great. Oh, she's fabulous. Wait for you to see the next
Skeeter's
episode.
Such a great character too.
The next episode too with Heather. I know that it's. I guess to give a little tease for the next one too. There's some beautiful, such beautiful scenes.
Yeah, without spoiling it too much, did you want to kind of tell us a little bit about what's coming up next, or tease us to what we should look out for, which be excited about?
I mean, I don't know if what I'm allowed to say, but let's just say that someone in Heather's in Helen Rather's past comes back. Ooh. And it is so dynamite. Just their connection, what might or might not happen. And talk about chemistry and it was so good. It was so great I had so much Helen in the episode. It was just, I just want you to see it. I just want you to see it. So I can't say anything because it's really good.
I'm excited.
Yes. I did have one question for you, Kelli. It came to mind when you spoke about, this is kind of is an overall, but when you spoke about Annalise Judge being a first-time actor, and I know that some of the other actors on there weren't, super seasoned CW kids or anything of that nature. Mm-hmm. But are there any strategies that you implement when working with people that are completely kind of green to this process?
I've worked with a bunch of kids. I've done some episodes of a show called The Resident that also shoots in Atlanta, and I've had the opportunity to work with a few kid actors who are pretty new, and it just there's an openness I find to actors. I mean, Annalise is a young woman. I think she was just graduating from high school, I think, right? Almost. Mm-hmm. But she had such a kind of a maturity to her, and mm-hmm. she was just such a lovely young woman, and was open and kind of like available to like all that was happening around her. I think that she obviously has followed it. She understands the business, but it didn't feel like she knew like she was hitting her mark, and she was just kind of absorbing it like a sponge. And it was so great. Like I had to remind myself that like, wait, you've never done this before? Like it was, there's this expectation that I felt like you seem seasoned, even though she wasn't. So it really is a testament to her and how she was raised. I mean, she just was a lovely young woman to work with. And the kids really they impressed me a lot in their poise, and they weren't like, too actory, if you know what I mean, in the sense of like they were still trying to be just kids. I want them to just be kids. I don't want them to be sort of an idea of I'm now playing a kid. I'm like, you are one, so you can just be one.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you said that, because I was going to make that point. I feel like often when you watch like this sort of genre, the kids are so forced sometimes, and you're just like, oh my god, like stop like trying to play a kid, just be a kid. And I totally agree. I mean, even like the scene with Ty and his brother, like that was just very authentic, and it's very relatable. And I mean, that's a testament to you as well as them. It's like, it's so well done, and I really appreciate that, and I like it, and it makes you love the show even more.
Yeah, it's like, they always, what they say, like working with kids and animals or something, like, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, good luck.
And water.
And what? Who?
and water. It's kids.
Water.
Animals, and water.
Okay.
There's three of them. I've been in scenes with all three at the same time.
We're happy the water didn't work out in this aspect.
Yeah. Helen made the whole suggestion that you should just become the new Serenity plumber, just for everybody. Take care of
yes.
I know. Helen suggests a lot. It's really fun.
We love it, and we're here for it. Well, Justin, is there anything else coming up with Cal, again, without spoiling it too much, that we can expect to see, or can you kind of hint something we can be excited about with him?
Well, speaking of Helen, she and I become a lot closer, a lot faster. And I start striking up a lot more friendships, because I haven't been in the town of Serenity very long. So I started making a lot more friends very quickly. And I know none of the flirting things, obviously, but other than that, I had to sit through the table reads. But I get to do that. I get to work with a lot more of Carson, who plays Ty, and I get to start really exploring that dynamic of coaching the kids and really delving into, as you guys pointed out, my involvement in this dynamic and the problems that they may or may not cause.
Love it. Juicy. Juicy. Thank you guys so much for sharing your energy and taking your time and giving us the behind the scenes and, just a deeper look on everything, and sharing your expertise so we can, kind of plug it in and get a full picture of, everything that's going on in the show. So we really appreciate you guys. Definitely, before we get out of here, we'll start with you, Kelli. Do you want to tell everybody where to find you online, so that way when everything comes out, they can retweet, comment, post, and all of the things?
Okay. I'm very behind the times. I do have an Instagram account. I finally did. I did it a little late, but I have one. Is that what you mean?
It is.
Okay. My handle is IamKWS, which is IAMKWS. And that's basically where you can find me. I don't tweet.
Okay.
I'm a reluctant social media person. I'm learning. I'm getting there.
Hey, I'm even worse.
Well, thank you. Okay. Well,
I don't even have Instagram. I got nothing.
Woo, you don't? Wow.
Nope. I'm
wow.
shrouded in mystery.
I love it.
I just haven't ever
He lives off
had
the
the
grid.
desire. I've never had the desire to join that.
Yeah,
Good
well,
for you.
if
Keep
they
it
want to
that
see
way.
you, they can tune in to Sweet Magnolia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've kind of enjoyed that. I think less is more. So I've kind of enjoyed. It's but anyway, yeah. I digress.
Lovely. Well, again, we've all so enjoyed this, and we hope you at home have enjoyed this too. Please comment, like, share, and if you have Twitter and Instagram and all the things, just dive into the conversation because we love hearing everything from you. Make sure next episode that you watch, you tune in to us here at the After Show so you can get all of the behind the scenes stuff that you don't get just from watching the show by yourself. So I'm your host, Jamie Alexander, and you can find me on Instagram at Jamie Alexander, and that's Jaimi. And our amazing panel, you can follow Tammy. Give us a wave, Tammy. Tammy on Twitter at TAMI Govea, Goveia, and Kelsey, hey girl, on Instagram and Twitter at Kels Meyer #2, KELS Meyer #2, and of course Bryant on all of the things social media at the Bryant Santos. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next After Show. Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.